Hi, welcome to Freezer Meals 101. I'm Charla.
And I'm Christy. Today we are talking about vegetarian meals and these particular meals that we have put together for you. In fact, she's the mastermind behind the whole situation. I just show up and look pretty. And there's a reason that these specific ones are put together. And I'm going to let her tell you about that.
So if you're going to make these, you might as well double them. We always recommend doubling because it takes a little bit more time, like a tiny little bit more time, and then you end up with double the amount of meals in your freezer. So then you would end up with 12 meals, and that's basically 2 weeks. Like,
really, it is.
You have leftovers. And
that's right. And I mean, there's going to be times where you know, there's still pizza nights, even though we're like the freezer meal queens. There's still pizza nights at our house. We still order in Chinese food, but yes, for those 5 nights or 6 nights a week where I don't have to think about what am I gonna cook for supper, because I have already taken it out in the morning and it's thawed and ta-da! This is what's for supper. I did not have to use a single brain cell.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. It really is great, and you should try it. You should do it.
But when you're doing freezer meals and you're doing a bunch at once, it saves time and money if you plan meals that have some shared ingredients. So when I was choosing the meals for today's freezer stack, I kept that in mind. And so we've got a few recipes that use spinach and artichoke. And so
because they go nice together. I don't know if you know this. Spinach and artichoke, that's why there's spinach dip, but then somewhere there was a shift in potlucks and appetizer nights where somebody started adding the artichokes.
And then everybody was
like, oh, spinach and artichokes. So yeah, they go really nicely together.
Yeah, and so that way you can just get the giant bag of spinach from Costco
and then use it all.
Use it all.
Because you know what happens to that bag of spinach if you don't?
It goes to waste.
We all know. It just becomes a bag of soup. In the bottom of your crisper.
Totally. So this way, especially if you're doubling these, you can use all of that spinach. And then we've got a couple recipes that use red lentils. So if you find a sale on red lentils, they're not that expensive anyway, but if you find a sale on them or get them in bulk, then you can use all the red lentils. So and there's, multiple ones that use garlic and onion and like all the things.
Oh, yes,
because then if you're prepping your ingredients, which actually there was not a ton of prep for these.
It wasn't bad.
But when you're prepping your ingredients, you might as well just chop 2 onions if you're going to chop 1, right? It
doesn't take that much more time when you're already in chopping mode. And you only have to wash your cutting board and your knife once.
Yes.
How nice. And we're big, I don't know if you know, if you've been watching us for a while, you know how much we hate doing dishes. So this is a big help. But it works for everything. It isn't just your lentils and your spinach and your artichoke. You find a sale on chicken, you do a smash of chicken recipes. You find a sale on ground beef. Angie, you found a wicked sale on ground beef. We just saw it in the Facebook group. And you made the most of it because of freezer meals. And it would be hard to do. You can buy that ground beef and throw it in your freezer, but it takes a lot to get around to using it. And then it also can end up wasted. So make your meals, get it in your freezer, and get going. So we should get on the recipes.
Yes, these are so good.
So good. Okay, they're vegetarian, but
and so good.
There's still going to be protein, there's still going to be flavor, and they're still hearty.
Oh, yeah. And for those of you who are not vegetarian or who are just choosing to add like a meatless Monday into your life to save money or to just eat healthier, we're gonna slip in a few comments here and there of how you could add some meat if you are somebody that really, really just needs the meat. So
that's right, because you're out there. We know you are, and I'm married to one, so I get it.
Yeah. This first recipe is a little bit of a departure for us. It's brand new, and I'm excited about it, and we'll see how it's gonna go, but the flavors are for sure going to be awesome. So this is a spinach and cheese ravioli with tomato tapenade.
Oh, fancy.
It's very fancy.
There was a recent request, I want to say in like YouTube on a
it was
video
on our YouTube
of
comments.
like, could you have a little bit higher brow stuff? And we do. We have a lot of highbrow
She must have
freezer
been looking
meals.
at the wrong video.
I think it was like a frugal one or it was
Yeah.
a families. I don't know what it was, but if you look at through the website and through YouTube, through the club, there are some highbrow stuff that we could serve in a restaurant and
Definitely.
would easily pass as fantastic food. So stick with us. You'll learn it all. You'll learn the frugal stuff. You'll learn the simple family-friendly stuff, but you're going to eat well.
So for this recipe, we're going to assemble it a little bit differently than we do most of our freezer meals. You're going to assemble your tapenade. So you're going to mix your ingredients together in a bowl, which is you're going to put some chunky salsa. If you like things spicy, you could use a spicier salsa, or you could even use a fruit salsa for this. Then you're going to add some pesto, maple syrup, and lemon pepper. Now, I don't know if you know, but we're Canadians, so if we can slip maple syrup into something, we're going to.
It's like its own food group.
So you're just gonna mix that together and put it into a medium size, that's a quart size freezer bag. You're gonna remove the excess air from that because when you're freezer cooking, air causes your freezer burn, so we always take all the air out of our bags. And you're gonna freeze the tapenade. Now, if you want, at this point, you can also freeze your ravioli, or you can use frozen ravioli, or you can buy your ravioli fresh for the day of cooking. Now, on the day that you cook this, you're going to take your tapenade out to thaw. You're gonna cook your ravioli according to the package directions. Just gonna heat the tapenade until it's warm and toss it with that cooked ravioli. Sprinkle Parmesan cheese and red chili flakes to this, and all you needed to do was just cook up that ravioli and toss that warmed up tapenade in there, and then you've got this like fresh, really summery, very zippy recipe.
Absolutely. I can't wait to try this one because it is a new one for us and we have not had the chance to try it yet. This is simple enough to put together. I think you could probably try this at home, and
this would be a great one to make one for tonight and freeze the other tapenade for another time.
This next recipe is red lentil dal. Now, when I started doing freezer meals with Charla, I did not eat lentils, and it took her a long time
Yes, it did.
to get me to eat lentils. And here's how we did it. We used an immersion blender so that I could not feel the individual split peas or the lentils because it was a texture thing for me. But once they're blended, I found it was okay. So, and like heaven
The
forbid.
flavors are good.
I know, but it was also something that involved coconut milk and curry. So it was like a triple whammy of things that Christy doesn't really like, but Christy found out she liked them.
Yes.
I have expanded my palate. I'm working on a growth mindset. Have we talked about this? I have a
No.
fixed mindset in certain things. I've discovered the 40s are funny.
Yeah, when you're in your 40s, you start to kind of analyze like
What
are
why do I think the things that I think?
Yeah.
And should I still think that way? And it's okay to make a shift. And I've done it with lentils.
and a few other things.
And a few
too.
other things. But
Let's
lentils
start with lentils.
lentils are now on the list of things that I will eat and feed my family, and they seem to eat it because my kids don't know that they shouldn't like them. And my husband will eat anything unless it's burnt. So really, he'll complain about things if he doesn't super like it, but unless it's burnt, he'll eat it.
He'll eat it.
So, okay, here's the red lentil dal. And this is our first dal that we have
It
that we're
is.
trying.
Yes.
And dal is, it's just like a lentil stew, right? Like it's gonna be saucy and it's, so let's get into it. We are going to start out with some oil in our skillet, and over medium heat, we're gonna cook some chopped onions. We're gonna add in some garlic and ginger. Now we use garlic from a jar, we use ginger from a squeezy tube because we prioritize being fast and efficient over standing there and squeezing a bunch of garlic to death. But, you know, there's a time and a place, and when you're doing 100 meals, you want to use what's quick and easy and available. So that's what we do. So we're gonna cook that around a little bit, let it meld. We're gonna add in some spices. We're gonna add in curry powder and cumin and coriander, garam masala. Had never even heard of that before I met Charlotte, and now it is like in my vocabulary. And you can make your own. If you don't have it, you can dig around in your spice cupboard and make your own garam masala. Do you remember I made some one time and I didn't have any cumin, so I used taco seasoning. So I'm like, it's got lots of cumin in it. So whatever, it's not really the real thing, but I made it work. And we're gonna, can't forget the turmeric and the salt. So we're gonna add those spices in and really let them meld. We're gonna add in some vegetable broth and mix it again, and then dump in the rest of your vegetable broth and your lentils and some diced tomatoes. We're gonna simmer. We're gonna keep it covered for like 30 minutes or so and let them really soften up. Then we're gonna set it to the side and let it cool. Then we can put it in our large freezer bag. And again, we're gonna get out all that air and we're gonna seal it and freeze it. So on the day of cooking, this one is a no-brainer. You're just gonna reheat this on your stovetop because this baby is cooked. Now this is also going to be, I think, a fairly large recipe, but it will be a nice one to split. I think this would be a really good one to split into 2 or 3 smaller, like medium-sized, quart-sized freezer bags.
Yeah, it's great for individual freezer meals. If you want to make sort of the microwave style, like the TV dinner style, you can put dal on the one side and then rice on the other, or even dal, peas, and rice, or that kind of a combination. And then you've got an individual freezer meal all ready to go and you just microwave it. So that's a really nice thing to do with this. Now, if you are like Christy,
yeah, I didn't talk about the part about the immersion blender.
Yes.
You could totally immersion blender this.
Yes.
There's 3 cups of liquid in there. Like, it's blendable.
Yes, this will work very well with your immersion blender. You can get all of those chunks gone and it'll still have the great flavors from all of those spices and seasonings and This next one is another new to us recipe and one that we are really excited about. It kind of started, we've talked about this in another video before, but we were at a restaurant, myself and my husband, Christy and her husband, and we ordered 4 different kinds of bruschettas. And this one, there was a like spinach artichoke bruschetta with garlic and salt, because Christy was like, when I was trying to recreate it, she was like, more garlic, more salt.
And I mean, we're not just talking like minced garlic, I'm talking sliced garlic, just mixed right in with some oil with that, with those Parmesan. And it was just rich and is so exciting in your mouth.
And that is the inspiration for these quesadillas, and also Christy's going to be telling you about a one-pot pasta that is also the inspiration for. So here we go. These are our spinach artichoke quesadillas. So in a medium-sized bowl, you're going to mix together your artichoke hearts that are drained and chopped. I like to blot mine with a paper towel also, just to get rid of some of that excess oil. And then you're gonna add 4 cups of spinach, so a good generous amount of spinach that's been chopped, some red pepper that's diced, garlic that's minced, mozzarella cheese or Monterey Jack cheese that's shredded, and some Parmesan cheese, because of course we're taking that Parmesan cheese inspiration from that bruschetta, and then some salt and pepper to taste, and a little bit of red chili flakes. You can change the amount of those depending on if you want things a little bit spicier or not. Just mix that all together, and then you just place a couple spoonfuls on half of a flour tortilla, fold it over, and then you're gonna put this on a baking sheet on some parchment paper. Once you've got a single layer of your quesadillas, you're gonna freeze that, because we wanna freeze these flat first so they don't stick together. And then we're gonna transfer them into a large resealable freezer bag, again removing the excess air, sealing that, and freezing it again. On the day that you go to make this, all you need to do is you can bake them in the oven. Like if you're making a lot of them, then you can bake them on a baking sheet in the oven until the cheese is melted and the quesadilla is hot. That's all you need. Or you can heat these in a skillet on the stovetop. This is another one that is great for single serving. They're great for lunches, or they're great for dinner if you live on your own, because you can pull out one at a time from that freezer bag and make as many as you need.
That just sounded so good. My mouth is watering while you were talking about it.
And I did tell you that I will give you some meat ideas. So for these spinach artichoke quesadillas, chicken,
totally chopped
it has
up.
to be pre-cooked. So
Or some
you want
shredded.
it shredded or cubed.
Finely chopped.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good.
You can throw that in there on the day that you make them.
Do you know what else you could do in this? Is a little bit of spicy Italian sausage sprinkled in there.
Yeah, you could, because spinach and sausage go really nicely together.
Yeah, they do.
So, sure, 2 meat options for you.
Right. See, look at the gears turning on our brains this morning. You can see the little mouse in there just turning on.
We should have this for lunch today.
Oh, my day just got better. I'm excited now. Okay, I was excited before because I love being here. I love my job. Isn't that a weird job? Okay, next, more spinach and artichoke. And this is another one that you could totally add some chicken into.
Yes. Again, pre-cooked and shredded or cubed.
Yeah, and just get it right into there. And so we're going to put in a large freezer bag your artichoke hearts that have been drained and chopped, but this time we don't have to blat them. I'll tell you why, because we're also going to add in our onion, our salt and pepper, some red chili flakes, because do you know how Rachel Ray will say she doesn't count garlic as an ingredient? She doesn't call salt and pepper an ingredient. So like if you have a 5 ingredient meal, she'll have her 5 ingredients and then she'll still have salt, pepper, and garlic because they don't count.
In her world.
In her world. And that's fine. I'm starting to see a pattern here that the red chili flakes happen no matter what you're making.
Pretty much.
Because, you know.
I love them.
She does love them. And again, I now eat my pasta with Parmesan and red chili flakes like Charlotte does, and it's awesome. Okay, and then also in this bag, we're going to add your broth, and that's why you don't need to blot your artichoke hearts. In a separate bag, in a quart-size bag, you're going to add some shredded mozzarella, and you're going to seal both bags. You're going to staple them together. Now, why would we staple our bags? It's so that you can have them at the same time when you pull them out. You want to make sure you staple above the seal. On the day of cooking, you're going to let this sucker thaw. You're going to add it to a large pot on your stove, and then we are going to stir in pasta. So for the day of cooking, again, you can put this in a bag and attach it, like your pasta, because you just need 2 cups. It's like 2 cups of penne. Or on the day of, you just grab 2 cups of penne because it's a pantry item. You might have it. You might need to be a little bit organized because you're gonna need some fresh spinach for this. You're gonna add in your penne. Once it comes to a boil, add your penne, stir it. It's a 1 pot, right? So it's just one dish that you have to.
You're adding your dry penne
right into it. You're gonna stir it, let it come to till it's soft. So it's gonna take 15 or 20 minutes. And then you're going to add your spinach and let it wilt. And then you can serve it. And then you're going to sprinkle your mozzarella cheese and just let it melt right on top of your bowl. It's going to be delicious.
It's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
This next recipe is spicy red lentil soup. I told you we would see those lentils again, and this is where they are. So my sister-in-law, Marcia, she is the most active person I have ever met in my life. She is, I'm not going to say her age on camera because, you know, that's, I don't know, some people don't like that. So, but she's older than I am, and she is the Energizer Bunny. She mountain bikes, she skis, she cross-country skis, she hikes, she you name it, she
Her and her
does it.
husband have done the walks in Europe, like the Camino Santiago.
Yes.
They're going to do another one right away.
Yeah, they are active. And she hardly ever sits still. And when she is sort of sitting still, she's quilting or sewing. Like, she's always doing. And so one day she invited us to go cross-country skiing, and it was a pretty cold day. We live in Canada, so we, you know, in the winter it gets cold here. And so we went and we did the cross-country skiing, and then we went back to their house after. and like you're cold and you've just exerted yourself and you're tired and you're hungry. And she had this spicy red lentil soup waiting for us. And it tasted better on that day than it ever has since, of course, because like you're so hungry.
And food that you didn't cook always tastes better.
Always.
But B, yeah, you've been outside in the cold, you've been working hard, and that's awesome.
And so this is her recipe. It's the kind of thing though where it's so good and it's so different that very day I was like, you need to give me this recipe. Like, I have to make this. And so since that time, Christy and I have freezer mealized it.
Yes, we have.
And
it's a process.
This is our spicy red lentil soup inspired by Marcia.
Thanks, Marcia.
So you are going to saute some chopped onions in olive oil. I know this is the second recipe today where we're requiring you to use your stove, but it's gonna be worth it. Then you're gonna add some garlic. Again, we're just using garlic from a jar, some cumin, paprika, and cayenne pepper, just a little bit. Now, if you like things spicy, you can add more. Do it to your spice tolerance. And you're just gonna cook that for 1 minute just to kind of let it get fragrant. Then you're gonna add some chicken broth or vegetable broth, because if you're making this vegetarian, then you're gonna wanna use vegetable broth. Some dry red lentils, tomato paste, and bay leaf. You're just gonna cover this, bring it to a boil, and stir it here and there. Let it simmer until the lentils are tender. So that's gonna be about a half an hour. You discard the bay leaf, and then Christy's favorite part, we're gonna run an immersion blender through this.
Yeah, we are.
So that we can blend the soup. If you prefer, you can put this in the blender, but you're gonna wanna do it in 2 parts because it's gonna be too much for just one blender full. Then you're gonna return this to your saucepan and stir in 1 can of evaporated milk. Just simmer it a few more minutes to let that milk get all incorporated there. Add some salt and pepper, and you're gonna allow it to cool before you transfer it to your freezer bag. Now, for this one, we always put it in medium-sized, quart-sized freezer bags, because then it's a great lunch portion or individual serving portion.
But also, if you have a crew coming back from cross-country skiing, you just take out more bags.
Exactly.
It's an easy one to increase.
And this is one that you can reheat on the stovetop or in the microwave. And then if you want to get really fancy, you can garnish it with some fresh cilantro. But, whatever you decide.
Okay, this one you're gonna like because it's kind of fun. And it's kind of chilly. And Charlotte's husband named it. It's an easy one that you will already have in your pantry, probably. And it's going to be inexpensive to make. It's going to be filling. It's full of protein. And hold on to your horses and listen quick, because I'll be done in a flash. We're going to have 2 cans of kidney beans dumped into a bag, and I mean sauce and all. And then we're going to add in a cup of salsa. And then we're going to take out all the air in that bag and seal it up. Then in a separate bag, we're going to add some Tex-Mex cheese that's been shredded. Well, you already buy it shredded. Mm-hmm. And also take the air out of that, seal those, staple them, and bam, there is your freezer meal. On the day of cooking, you're going to heat this on the stovetop in a pot. You could do it in the microwave.
And you're gonna slow cooker.
Even in the slow cooker, you just need to get it hot. It's already all cooked. You're gonna add your cheese so that it gets all melty, and bam, that is supper.
That's supper, and it's kind of chilly.
It's kind of chilly.
So this one, we thought we'd throw it in there because, like Christy said, it is economical. It is really fast to make, but mostly because today we've given you a few recipes that are a little bit more complicated than what we usually do, because we required you to cook on the stove. And
right, if you're gonna do this as a meal plan for yourself,
yeah,
we need to throw you a bone here and give you an easy one to put together. Like, I mean, seriously, making your quesadillas and getting them in the freezer and back out, It's a lot, and we're sauteing onions today, and we don't like to do that as prep, but it's an important step.
Usually give you recipes that are, and I know these aren't super complicated, but they're, you know, again, they're more complicated than just tossing the things in the bag and throwing it in your freezer.
Yeah, these
right?
aren't your typical dump recipes.
And
the kind of chili is very much a dump recipe,
Yes.
but that's okay.
So we're giving you something really easy to end off with so that you're like, hey, I can do this.
You totally
and
can.
We purposely did it at the end because then you've exerted all this work. Hopefully you've doubled these so that at that point you've already got 10 meals and you're feeling like, hey, that was some work, but I've got 10 dinners. And I can see
You have
the
12 because we did 6 recipes today.
Well, now after you're 10, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Then you go and you make this easy one, you double it too, and then you've got 12 and you're like, oh, I am awesome.
You are awesome. And so something else, I did remember what I was going to say. People will ask us all the time, oh, you do freezer meals, so it's like chili and casseroles and stuff? No, it is way better than chili and casseroles. And the other question that often comes is it all pre-cooked or is it all just raw and thrown in? And we do a mix, and here's why. We're doing the effort up front on the lentil and the spinach and the quesadillas because on the day of, it's fast.
Yep.
And there's other recipes that we have that it's, you know, it's your chicken and your marinade. You're doing it easy on the up front, and then on the day of, you're going to have to cook that. And there are going to be times in your life where you need both those things. Some people ask us, like, how do you pick what you're going to have out of your freezer meals? Well, it's really what my day is going to allow. If I need something to sit in a crock pot all afternoon so that it's fast when I get home, I'll pick that. If it's something that I need that we are going to eat and get out, maybe it's going to be the soup, right?
Yeah, or the quesadilla, like just
if I have a
fill
bit of
it,
time,
done. Yeah.
Then, or something I need to defrost quickly, the quesadilla.
Right.
Somebody shows up and it's lunchtime and you're like, okay. And we talk about this sometimes because our mothers were, my mother was like that. She could pull a buffet out of that freezer. And it was really, it's just whatever suits your needs and your life. And that's why freezer meals are for everybody.
They're for everybody.
They really are. You just make whatever you want and make it work for you.
And we are so glad that you found us today and that you chose to spend your time with us. We love when you do that. And we're going to put a video right there if you want to spend even more time with us.
Oh my.
To one of our big mega sessions that we
recently
did.
But it's lovely. You're going to enjoy it.
And there are some vegetarian meals in there as well, or some that can be adapted to vegetarian because I don't eat a whole lot of meat. And so for any ground beef recipe, I use veggie beef. And so even, you know,
a lot of them
recipes,
can be easily converted. Totally.
Thank you for joining us today.
Happy cooking.